It's a common sense recap of the big stories. It's Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
And joining us now, we have Professor Alan Dershowitz, great Harvard Law School professor emeritus. Professor Dershowitz, this is Rita. We also have Judge Weinberg and Craig Eaton. I cannot wait to ask you. This is just so shocking. The more I'm learning of this Tim Walz guy, this is, of course, who Kamala Harris picked. He is really close, it seems like, with this cleric, this Muslim cleric, who was praising October 7th, of course, when 1,200 Israelis were slaughtered, and also had a film promoting Hitler. And this is who she picks as her running mate. Your reaction to all of this, Professor?
Well, it's shocking, but I hope you'll send my best to my old friend Bobby Kennedy. Tell him I'm on his side in terms of getting on the ballot. New Yorkers have the right to vote for him, and the absurd technicalities shouldn't deny people the right to vote. So tell Bobby I'm with him on this one. Will do. In terms, it's just an outrage that there wasn't vetting and checking. It's like the Democrats who supported Cory Bush, but worse. I mean, one of the reasons I can no longer associate myself directly with the Democratic Party is so many of the leaders of the Democratic Party, including the leader in Congress, supported this vicious anti-Semite, Cory Bush. And now you have a man who wants to be vice president of the United States cozying up to a terrorist. Look, we've been through this once before, and I think we learned our lesson. The Reverend Wright, we should have listened more carefully when the Reverend Wright was saying horrible things about America and about Jews and about Israel to Barack Obama. And some of that came out in his second term, not in his first term. And, when you vote for somebody like the Democratic ticket, you're voting for potentially 8 years. And people change. So, you might see a little bit of pandering to Israel and to American interests in a safe world during the beginning, but I worry deeply about this ticket and about its commitment to Israel, to American Jews, and to Americans in general. Because you scratch an anti-Zionist, and you're going to find an anti-American, and that's what worries me. I guarantee you that this guy, this Muslim cleric, is anti-American. There's no doubt about that. And, politicians have to be more careful who they associate with. Nancy Pelosi, who made a terrible mistake when she put her arm around, essentially, members of the squad and supported members of the squad. And the Democrats are falling into this horrible trap of wanting to pander to their extreme left wing. And if they do, they're going to lose because Americans are centrists. And they're not supportive of the kind of left-wing a woke ideology that's anti-American and anti-Israel. You know what I think, Professor Alan Dershowitz? I think, you talked about the vetting. I think they did vet him because some of these things have been out there. I think they saw that. And what saddens me as an American is, they had a choice of Josh Shapiro, of course, the governor there in Pennsylvania, Jewish American, very eloquent. Pennsylvania, an important state also too from the election. They didn't go with that. They didn't pick Mark Kelly, astronaut, who has been more moderate on the border. They consciously picked this guy. Yeah, the reason they didn't go with Shapiro is they know that if they had picked Shapiro, there would be no Democratic convention. There'd be riots and arrests and violence because there is a wing of the Democratic Party. Many of them are delegates to the convention who would not tolerate the nomination of a Jewish American Zionist as vice president. Some of them are Jewish, self-hating, radical, progressive, woke Jews. Many of them are not. Some of them belong to minority groups. But had they nominated Shapiro, the convention would not be peaceful. It might not have occurred at all. And now the left thinks they have their candidate. They think that this ticket is the progressive, woke, left-wing pro-Hamas ticket. And they're getting resumes from people who want to serve in the Harris administration who have as their goal the end of the Israeli-American relationship and really the end of America. So, we have to be very, very careful. I'm waiting to hear and see what happens. Look, to their credit, the Biden administration, I'm not talking about Harris now, she had nothing to do with this. The Biden administration seems to be doing the right thing with Iran, sending our naval resources there, sending a strong deterrent message with a submarine that's offensive rather than just defensive. I think quid pro quo, they've also said to Israel, you can't preemptively attack, otherwise we'll call off our ships. But if, in fact, this administration has managed to deter Iran, and we'll know that in the next couple of days, they deserve credit for that. But Kamala Harris doesn't deserve any credit for that. She probably is not at all involved in that decision making.
Right, absolutely. Professor Alan Dershowitz, Judge Weinberg has a question.
Alan, sure. Andy McCarthy, our mutual friend, just had a great column in the National Review. And he says, everybody says Biden administration is trying to stop a regional war. And Andy McCarthy, to his credit, has said there already is a regional war going on. And the only question is how hot it gets and what happens next. What are your thoughts?
No, I agree with you. I think that the only way of stopping this regional war, which has gone on since the 7th of October, is finally to allow Israel to destroy Iran's nuclear umbrella. Because if Iran ever finalizes its nuclear arsenal, and it's very close to doing so, there is no way of stopping them or Hezbollah or any of the other surrogate groups. And, while all this is going on, to show the incredible hypocrisy, of the New York Times, of CNN, while all this is going on, there is a real genocide and a real famine, the worst in the world today, taking place just miles away from Saudi Arabia in a place called Sudan. And have you seen any protests? We're talking about hundreds of thousands of people starving to death and being subject to genocide, and nobody gives a damn. You know why? Because black lives don't matter unless they're being taken by white people. If you have black lives being taken by black people, it's ho-hum. When's the last time you heard a black minister, a black politician, a member of the squad talk about the genocide that's going on in Sudan? They don't give a damn. It's all about Israel. It's all about anti-America, anti-Israel. It's not about the Palestinians. It's about the hatred of Western democracies and the Judeo-Christian tradition.
By the way, tonight is the primary for Ilhan Omar. Yeah. As you may know, one of the members of the squad. And, of course, the alarm puller, Jamal Bowman, he got out in the primary. Also, Cori Bush didn't get elected.
I don't think Ilhan Omar is going to be defeated. There hasn't been enough attention paid. And, she lives in a heavily a Muslim district. So I think expectations are too high. I think she will probably win. I'd be delighted if she lost. But even if she wins, that shouldn't be seen as kind of an affirmation of her politics. It should be seen in a very local way. And the fact that AIPAC and others around the world didn't focus on this election because they didn't think it was winnable. So I'm not counting on a victory. It would be a great victory if she would defeat it. But I don't think that's going to happen.
There's a lot of dark money coming into that race. She had about $8 million against Samuels, 1.5. A lot of money came in. They don't know what the sources are. They're trying to look at that. But the fact of the matter is, you have all these outside influences who are backing her play in this primary.
Yeah, well, I applaud AIPAC for picking and selectively choosing which candidates to run against. They're perfectly entitled to go into districts and oppose people who are anti-American, anti-Israel, anti-democracy, and pro-Hamas. And I applaud them for doing it. And, I wish we could defeat Elizabeth Warren. She's running as well. But she's unfortunately unbeatable. If I were 25 years younger, I'd go back to Harvard and I'd run against her because she's been a terrible, terrible anti-Israel zealot and progressive woke anti-democracy candidate. She was my colleague for 25 years, and I think she's now become one of the most dangerous, one of the worst members of the United States Senate. I will never vote for her. I called her on the phone when she refused to go to Netanyahu's speech in 2016 before Gaza. And I told her, for me, that was a red line, and I will never support her. I would always support her opponents, and I continue to do that. And it's amazing, Massachusetts, virtually the entire congressional delegation in Massachusetts today is anti-Israel, with a few exceptions.
Well, you would have had our vote. That is for sure, Professor Dershowitz.
We would have campaigned for you.
Yeah, we would have. Big time. Professor Dershowitz, let's see what happens tonight with Ilhan Omar, another member of the so-called squad.
Yeah, we can cheer, we can root, but I don't think we should expect.
Yeah, no, good point. Good to know. Good to know. Thank you, Professor. We love you.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much.